Hi, good evening. My name is Jenny Minich, and I am a community engagement librarian here at LaPorte County Public Library. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight on Six Tips for Six, or I'm sorry, Six Tips at Six, I'm going to give you 6 tips on how to access HeritageQuest, which is one of our online genealogy resources. So if you're interested in discovering more about your family history or local history, HeritageQuest is a great resource to get started with. One of the best things about HeritageQuest is that you can access it anywhere you have internet. So you can access it fully from home with your library card. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all, and we will get started. So I'm going to start you off this evening on the library's website, laportelibrary.org. There are lots of awesome resources here. Where we're going to go tonight is to Library Online, and then we want to go to Research and Online Learning. So I'll click there. And then that takes me to all kinds of information. So this is organized topically. So we've got business and finance, college and employment, all kinds of good stuff, DIY. What we want tonight is history and genealogy. So gain access to both family and local history. I'm going to go ahead and click here on Explore Tools. And as you're following along tonight on Facebook Live, if you have any questions, my colleague Pam is helping me out tonight. So go ahead and pop those questions. You can just type them directly into Facebook, and we can take it from there and get those questions answered. Down here, it's HeritageQuest. I'm going to click on Access. That's the resource I'm using tonight. Because I am at a public library location right now, I don't have to put in my library barcode or my password. If you are accessing HeritageQuest from home, you will have to enter that account information. If you misplaced your card, or maybe it's been a few years since you've used your card, that's no big deal. We can help you out with that for sure. Just give us a call, 362-6156 during open hours, and we'll help you out. There's also a chat feature here. If you go to our website here where it says need help, this is monitored during open hours, or you can always email us, help@laportelibrary.org. So I'm going to go ahead and click on access. And because I am here at the public library, I am not required to enter that barcode information. So your first tip for tonight was how to access HeritageQuest and other local history genealogy resources online. So you go to laportelibrary.org, Library Online, you click on the local history and genealogy section, and then on HeritageQuest, and that takes you here. So the second tip that I wanted to share with you tonight is how to access research aids. So I've been doing genealogy research for quite a while. It's a big hobby of mine to research my family history and my husband's family history. So, and actually genealogy and family history research is the second most popular hobby in the United States. So there are a lot of people out there who like to learn more about their family history. So this research aids section here, my second tip is that if you're just getting started with genealogy research, you should learn a little bit about how to conduct research. I think my story is kind of a common one. I kind of got started not really knowing what I was doing. And then when I learned great research methods later when I became a librarian and I learned some more tools, I had wished that I maybe would have started with some better practices in the beginning. So this research aids section is a great step. And then they have this whole getting started section right here. So there are 3 articles linked here, Ancestry and Top 10 Search Tips. This product that I'm showing you tonight, HeritageQuest, it is affiliated with Ancestry. So you may be familiar with ancestry.org. And then creating timelines that produce answers and census forms. So if you're just getting started, I highly recommend taking a look at those resources. So now we're going to jump back here. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. So on this research aids section, we've got search, research aids, and map. And then I just wanted to point out to you here on the top left, we have home and search. So those 5 links appear on every screen you're on. You can go to search, research aids, maps, or home and search, and that'll take you No matter where you are, you can always get back to them. All right, so we are going to go ahead and start with searching census records. I think that those are some of the most invaluable records that we have. The 2020 census just happened, so hopefully everybody participated in that so that your future descendants can find out all kinds of interesting things about you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Search Now here under Search Census. And then that's going to take me into all these different collections that are linked here below. And then on the top, it took my screen just a minute to load. There's all this information that I can input if I know it about my ancestor or about the person that you're researching. It may not be your ancestor. So tip number 3 tonight with HeritageQuest is be as specific as possible in your search. So try to include all the information that you know about a person. You can include their family members, you can include their age, their name, where they lived, and even really small details can be helpful. So there's a box here you can check that says match all terms exactly. I do not recommend doing that when you're just getting started because frequently So the next one I have here is the 1910 census, and this says that this Andrew Minich was born in 1889. So that Andrew Minich is probably most likely the same Andrew Minich that was in the first record, and that's probably not who I'm looking for. Now I get to this third record, and you'll notice the spelling on that last name, M-A-N-I-C-K. The Andrew Minich I'm looking for is spelled M-I-N-I-C-H, but it's actually, this is the correct person that I'm looking for. So that's another tip that I have for you is to consider alternative spellings and think like a detective. So the person who is recording the census, the same is true for people who are recording ship rosters or immigration records. They may not, there may have been a language barrier. The handwriting may be difficult to read, or they may have simply misspelled your ancestor's name. So this is the one that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this record, and I'm actually going to see, if I click on view, I can actually see a scanned record of the original census, which is pretty cool. And up here, someone has corrected the name. So you can see that even though originally it was spelled Andrew Minich. Someone has corrected it because they realized that that is the correct spelling. We get a lot of information here. I recommend reading through what you see in the transcription here before you go in to the document, and you'll see why in a second. So he was born about 1840, Prussia, home in 1880, Scipio Township, LaPorte County, Indiana. Dwellings were recorded in order. So neighbors, it's helpful sometimes to look at the people who are listed before or after your ancestor because they were their neighbors. And because there weren't a lot of people, then oftentimes, you know, marriages happen between neighbors or extended families live near each other. So you can often find additional information there. In every census, they recorded different information. So in 1880, they recorded this information: race, gender, the relation to head of household, marital status, spouse's name, the father and mother's birthplace of Andrew, and occupation, and neighbors. And then we can see here the household members. So here in 1880, Andrew, Susan, Annie, Johnny, and Alice. So I'm going to go ahead and click on view and view that original record. There are some features over here on the right. I can zoom in and out here. There are some tools that I can use to navigate these. There are little caret arrows if I wanted to go in this document further to the left or to the right. I can see I'm on page 12 of 16. So I could technically view all of Scipio Township for 1880, but it's highlighting in yellow the entry for Andrew Minich, and then in green the rest of his household is highlighted there as well. And you can see what I mean about some of the information being sort of hard to read. But if I hover over it, you can see that it's really nice that the transcription is given to me there as well. So that leads me into tip number 4. So tip number 4 is understand census records. So it saves you a lot of time if you know what you're looking for. One really helpful feature that HeritageQuest has, you can actually view the blank form. So sometimes the pages over time and that scanned image may have been damaged. There may be smudges. So it's helpful sometimes to go ahead and take a look at that original form. Oh, I'm gonna magnify this a little bit to see exactly what they're recording, what information was recorded on that census year. Because, like I said before, every year they record, you know, different information. So it's helpful to know what you're looking at. So I am going to go ahead and go back to our results on the first screen. The last thing I sort of wanted to say about the census right now is that misspellings, like I said, are common. And also, when you understand U.S. Census records, 1890 was sort of a rough year for the census. There was a fire in 1921 that destroyed most of the 1890 census records. So if you understand how the census works and you don't find your ancestor in 1890, that's probably not something to be alarmed about. If you know, it was just that the records were destroyed for that year. So if you understand how that works, that can be really helpful to finding out more information. All right, so I'm going to perform another search here. I'm going to go back. These search filters in the top, if I have them all the way on the left, they're very broad. If I drag them to the right, they're more exact. So that's a way that you can sort of limit and filter your search if you don't want to update the more specific information. But I'm going to go ahead and do a new search. And the search I'm going to do right now, this is John Jacob Sigel. And he is my great grandfather. Let's see. And he also lived in LaPorte County, Indiana. I'm going to go ahead and search here. So he comes up right away, Jacob J. Sigel, 1940 federal census. And I picked this record because I wanted to show you some of the different information that was recorded in 1940 that wasn't recorded in the 1800s census. So if I click here on that and then hover over it, I can see that his age was 73 and just where he was living there and everything. And then if I click here on view image, the census information pops up here, and I can see that he was living with his wife Eva and my grandmother Wilma, and I see their ages. He was 73, Eva 61, and Wilma was 22 at that time. I can see where he was born, Germany, and where his wife and daughter were born, were both Indiana. It tells me the amount of schooling that was attended, that Wilma completed all of high school. So you're going to find information about education here. You're also going to find if they attended school or college, their marital status, and their gender. Some of them also include, and I was thinking that this one would include the year that he immigrated because he was naturalized, but that may be a different census here. So I can see his occupation, that he was a farmer, occupation, housework, industry. So you can see there's a lot more information here also about their income, about if they own their home or rented. So this leads to my next tip, which is save information so that you can find it again. So up here, this green button right here, if I click on save, I can send this image home or save it to this computer. So like I said earlier, when I first got started in genealogy research, I saved a bunch of stuff and I didn't really have a good organizational structure. So tip number 5 is save information so that you can find it again. There is a printer-friendly view. If I go to save to this computer, it should pop up. So that's a JPEG image that I could save there. If I cancel that one, I'm going to go back to my previous screen because there's some other options, and I think they're on the previous screen, that also allow me to email it to myself, because that can be kind of helpful too, because you know, maybe you are doing some research and you want to just email it to yourself so that you can find out some more information later. So right here, send your find home, send document. If I type in my email twice and send it, then I'll have that in my inbox for later, and then I can go ahead and organize that. If you are doing research on a computer that's not your own, that can be really helpful too. You can also choose to save it on a removable drive and keep all of your research organized together in different folders. I always recommend editing the name of the document to include your ancestor name and the census year minimally. It would include those two things. Ideally, it would also include your ancestor number if you have a numbering system for your genealogy research, so you can keep it all organized and together. All right, so I'm going to head back to all results, and then I'm going to go home, and that leads us to my last tip, my 6th tip for tonight, which is pay attention to the collections that you are searching at the top of the screen. So you can see what we've only been in the census records so far. So if I were to search here, and maybe I'm going into immigration records, those collections aren't quite as large as what we have on HeritageQuest for some of the other things. So if I perform the search here in immigration records from Belgium for an ancestor, I may not get the results that I'm hoping for. So if you pay attention to the top of the screen and you can see the collections that you're in, that can be really helpful for you, because maybe what you really need to do is navigate back here to home, to the US Census records, and view all, and that's where you want to perform your search. So I hope that you've all found this informative. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for just a second to make sure there aren't any questions to answer.
Jenny, we don't have any questions tonight.
All right. So thank you all for tuning in. If you watch this later and have any questions about HeritageQuest or any other library services, please give us a call. or an email, or fill out that help box on the bottom of our website. So our website is laportelibrary.org. Our phone number is 219-362-6156. And the email you can use is help@laportelibrary.org. So if you need, if you're interested in getting started with genealogy research, maybe you need a new library card, or you just have a question about some of our services, give us a call and we will be happy to help. Thank you so much.